Jasmine Crockett is not a serious person. Check it out.
It's not about the report, because the amendment says it's about a report.
During a House hearing focused on ensuring fairness in women's sports, Jasmine went full theatrics, but Harriet Hageman wouldn't let it slide and brought some much-needed clarity to the conversation.
This bill does nothing to prohibit men from competing in men's sports. We do not want men beating up women.
And today, we're covering it all. So if you believe truth isn't partisan, hit the subscribe button and let's jump right into it.
And now they want to be the protectors of girls and women. I didn't hear them screaming this when Renee Good was killed in the middle of the street in Minneapolis. I didn't hear any protection for Renee Good, a U.S. citizen that was killed by the same people that the vast majority of you just voted to give more money to. I didn't hear the same thing. In fact, it was a lot of crickets, specifically including the women, as we were just lectured about what we need to do as women when it came down to the Epstein files. I heard crickets. Let me be clear, the Republicans are gonna protect girls and women, because that's what this is all about. It's not about the report, because the amendment says it's about a report. Like, miss me on being protectors. Just say that this is what you believe, this is what you're doing. But don't come at us and tell us as women what we should be okay with, what we shouldn't be okay with, because it's just kind of like the same thing where I should be telling a lot of women on the other side of the aisle, I don't know how it is that you are not protecting women as they need protections over their own bodies to make their own decisions.
Now, for some context, on one of the key bills discussed in this hearing was H.R. 1028, known as the, quote, Protection of Women in Olympic and Amateur Sports Act of 2026, which, quote, requires certified national governing bodies of amateur sports to prohibit men from participating in women's competitions. It also clearly defines male and female to remove any room for confusion due to subjective interpretations. On top of that, it's an attempt to codify an executive order Trump signed a year ago. But instead of engaging with the logic of the bill, Jasmine and many Democrats on the committee went on different tangents, trying to establish false equivalencies to take the conversation in another direction. Chip Roy and Harriet Hageman wouldn't let that slide, and they both made sure to bring some clarity back to the discussion, saying this.
The reality here is this is not about trying to give a middle finger to President Trump by opposing this. This is about giving a middle finger to the little girls out there, like my daughter, who want to be able to play sports and not play sports with a guy. That's it. This is not about, we're the party of women, equality, and all this stuff. And look, you want to talk about abortion? We can have that debate. We have it round and around. We want to protect little girls who are not yet born. So we can have that debate all day long. But that's a debate we have had repeatedly. But what we're saying here is we want to ensure that our little girls can engage in athletic activity and not be competing against dudes. I would yield to the gentlelady from Wyoming if she wants that time.
You bet, because I'm just going to briefly speak on the amendment. The over-the-top rhetoric put forth in support of this amendment, I think, gives up the game. The fact is that all you need to do to determine sex is a cheek swab. If you're an XX or an XY, you're either a boy or a girl. It's that simple.
Now, that's a fair point. And the fact that only a month after this debate, the International Olympic Committee released a new guideline on, quote, protection of the female category in Olympic sport. They also attached a 10-page document to that policy explaining the reasoning for the move, pointing to scientific evidence showing that healthy adult males have 15 to 20 times more circulating testosterone than healthy adult females, thus giving them a performance advantage. They also address safety concerns, especially, quote, in contact sports, where the strength and power differential between men and women increases safety risks to female athletes. It's almost as if they finally had access to studies that anyone with common sense would have brought up years ago. Speaking of which, have you ever stopped and thought about who's really deciding what you can and can't ask AI? Because you know what? Let's be honest. Most platforms don't just give answers, they filter them. And chances are, you've already hit that wall at least once. That's where today's sponsor, Venice AI, enters the picture. This is an unbiased AI platform that lets you tap into the world's leading models while staying fully anonymous. Their method is pretty simple. every prompt you enter gets encrypted and stored only on your device, ensuring no company can monetize or access your data. I've been using it myself to help with the research on our videos, and the difference stands out right away. You're not getting pre-packaged narratives from partisan outlets. You're getting straight information without someone else deciding how it should sound. So, if you want to use AI without handing your most personal information to corporations or the government, check out venice.ai/millionaire mentor and use code Millionaire Mentor to get 20% off their pro plan. It's a solid tool that puts you back in control. So make sure to check them out by clicking the link in the description. Now back to the video.
The fact that we're having this conversation and this debate just absolutely epitomizes the left's ongoing effort to rewrite the English language in order to change the debate and destroy civil order. Cisgender is a made-up word. Cisgender that means nothing. Do not call me cisgender. I am a woman. This gentleman sitting next to me, he is a man. That's who he is. That is what our title is. That is what we have been described throughout history. This bill does nothing to prohibit men from competing in men's sports. It does prohibit men from competing in women's sports. It is that simple. All we have to do is look at what happened during the Paris Olympics, where we watched a dude beat the hell out of a woman in a boxing match, and we have people on the other side of the aisle who actually believe that that is okay. That man is not a woman. He has been tested repeatedly. That is a man, and he will not be allowed to compete against women in the future because he is a man.
Well, that's one way to put it. But even with clear examples of women being put at a disadvantage after years of training, you've seen cases where female athletes reach the top of their sport only to lose to someone who suddenly showed up and decided to compete in her category. Now, keep in mind, this was allowed to happen just because the left refused to protect women's rights. Yeah, it's the same party that was supposed to be for equality and empathy. But if you look at their actions, reality tells a very different story. Harriet didn't stop there, though. She kept calling out Jasmine's theatrics, and she made some solid points. Take a look.
We do not want men beating up women. We do not want men in women's soccer or volleyball or basketball or rugby or swimming or any other athletic competition. This isn't difficult. All you need to do for any kind of determination for sex is a cheek swab. The fact that you guys are talking about doing these inspections of people and the fact that the Boxing Association used to do that, that's sick. That is sick. This isn't complicated, and the fact that you're trying to make it complicated gives up the game. We want to protect women and girls. It's that simple. That's what this bill does. This amendment means nothing. It does nothing to protect women. It does nothing to protect women athletics. That is the reason why every person in this room, especially the women, should vote against it. I yield back.
Now, this goes to show why Jasmine struggles to connect with voters. All she does is focus on theatrics, and that ends up taking away from any real substance in the discussion. On the other hand, Harriet approached it with facts and clear reasoning. The contrast helps explain why the right has gained ground with voters on certain cultural issues, because when the argument is grounded in reality, it's easier for people to follow it. But if you think about it, that's not a hard task, especially with how the left keeps pushing a narrow worldview that doesn't correspond to where most of society stands.